Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And this is Kirsten. So this is my Kirsten. My daughter does have a Kirsten who's in much better shape than mine. I got her in like the early 90s when I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, I think. So Kirsten is from Sweden. She is the first of the original 3 dolls that I am covering that were created by Pleasant Rawling. So the reason I have her is because I do in fact have Swedish ancestry. So on my father's side, his mother, and I don't know whether if it was his grandmother Hedvig or her parents who came over from Sweden. So, because I can't find the records and I don't want to bother asking my father or my sister about it because I think they might know. But nonetheless, they came over from Sweden. I know my grandmother said that her own grandmother didn't speak English at all. So, but her mother was Swedish, so that was Hedvig Doll. And then her father was German. So again, I don't know if he came over or it was just his parents and he was born here, but they were in Pennsylvania. That's where, that's where my grandmother's mother's family was. And then they went to Ohio, which is where my grandmother was born. I think that's where that's where my grandmother was born. That was where my father was born. So, and then my grandmother on that side, her father, again, was German. So they had come over. And then the other German connection is my father's father, Charles. His mother, Lola Kurtz, I believe was born in the United States, but both her parents were in fact German. So they were German immigrants. So that is my background. The rest of the family they're British. So that's why my mother, I originally, I think, wanted Molly. My mother wanted me to get Kirsten. So, because again, blonde hair, blue eyes, and yes, I was naturally blonde. It just darkened over time. My hair has not been dyed. Is Kirsten. So let's cover Kirsten's story. So unlike, again, if you ever look at the books, her beginning family things looks very, very different because they have the family photographs here. So this is what they look. And they have Marta in here, and I don't quite know why in all of the books because, again, it doesn't make any sense. So in this, you have Kirsten, who's 10. They come from Sweden to Minnesota. They're farmers in 1854. So it's her mother, her father, her older brother, Lars, who we don't actually get an age of in here, and her little brother, Peter. I'm not sure. And then the other family you see here is her uncle Olaf, his wife, who he met in America, her aunt Inger, and then Inger already had 2 children, so I'm guessing she was a widow, Anna and Elizabeth. And then the person in the corner is Marta, who is Kirsten's best friend on the long trip to Minnesota. I don't know if they met on the boat or what, but this is kind of interesting. They start off on the boat. She's playing with Marta. There's a big storm. Her mother gets sick because, again, storms. They get into New York. They don't go through Ellis Island because it doesn't exist yet. They go through Covent Garden because, again, this is the 1850s. So Ellis Island doesn't exist yet. Doesn't exist until like the 1890s. I think it was like it was 1890 something. I think 92 or something. 1892 when Ellis Island, that was the wooden structure. So that's a different history. Nonetheless. So they came over in this book. So they get through Covent Garden. She gets lost away from her family when they're walking through trying to get food and tickets because they're going to take a train. So then she meets back up with Marta. They say goodbye because Marta's family, I believe, is going to take a boat. So they're going to, from New York Harbor, because they're all going to Minnesota. So Kirsten's family takes the train. They go to, I'm trying to think if they're going, where on earth they go. What city they end up in. So, Chicago. So that's where they reunite with Marta. Then they get on a boat to go to Minnesota. And then Marta dies of, I think it's, cholera. It's in the water. And Marta dies, which is why I don't know why she's in the rest of the books. But then they get to the town, because they take the boat, and then, let's see, where on earth is the town? All right, they rate, Riverton, the town of Riverton. I have no idea if it's real or not. And that's the frontier town. They had to leave a bunch of their trunks and stuff behind, and that's important for another book, because they spent all their money. So they take a wagon and are able to get to the farm, and that's where she meets. She doesn't really, I think she had been very, very little when her Uncle Olaf left, because she's 9 here. So, and then they get to the town and they live with them for a while. So that's the first book. The second book is when she goes to school. So this is the one-room schoolhouse. She's very shy. She doesn't speak English at all. She doesn't like she thinks the teacher doesn't like her because she doesn't speak English, and she's slow. She's embarrassed to be working with her cousin Anna. I do believe she meets a Native American girl. So on her way, which is she called Singing Bird, and the girls calls her Yellow Hair. And so, and she helps her feel like she fits in. And I think she ends up getting better along with the teachers in this one. So she learns, America starts to feel more like home. And then Singing Bird's family leaves. So it doesn't, again, this is the frontier of Minnesota. This is just at the start where the U.S. is starting to not treat the Indians very well. Because, Western expansion. So the next book is Kirsten's Surprise. So this is in her St. Lucia outfit where you see her. So St. Lucia Day is a day in Sweden. It's early December. It's they call her St. Lucia, where the girls in the morning, they dress in these white dresses with the red sashes and come and give their family breakfast. So in this story, she's pestering her father to go to go to the village to get their trunks, because she wants her St. Lucia stuff. She also had left her sari, which is her doll, behind. So, and she's been wanting that and wanting their stuff. So eventually they go, but on the way back, there's a snowstorm. And she's able to help her father to a cave, because he first tries to lead the horse, but he hurts himself. She's able to lead them into a cave, and then they're able to get home later that night after the storm fades. And at the time, her teacher is actually living with her aunt and uncle. So she also helps the girls set up this St. Lucia celebration. So that is Kirsten's Surprise. That's her Christmas story. So, and this is very obvious that this is a very old book. Though I think the Meet Kirsten is a newer book, because I think my original one is like completely falling apart. So this is her springtime story. This is her birthday story, because she's born in June. So in this story, they start again. Oh no, they actually do. Let me double check. I want to see if Marta's in. No, I think Singing Bird is in this one. Yeah, no, Marta's still in this one. They also add her teacher, and then they add Singing Bird, which is interesting. So, and I don't know if is Marta in this one? It doesn't make any sense, because again, Marta dies. Yeah, no, they actually take Marta out of, she's not in Kirsten's Surprise. Happy Birthday, Kirsten, which is our springtime story. Yes, and it's just her teacher. So in this one, they end up start making a quilt, but her mother gets, I believe her mother's pregnant in this one. Yeah, her mother's pregnant. First it starts off with a tornado, and they're hiding, but her mother is heavily pregnant. So they're starting to make a quilt, like a patchwork quilt, but Kirsten can't keep helping as much because she's not able to go to school because she needs to help her mother. And then eventually they do a barn raising, and the quilt is given to her rather than their teacher. But, and her baby sister, I think Britta, is born in this story. This is also where you have she's holding a little kitten. So one of the cats, Missy, gives birth to kittens, and this baby kitten is a runt of the litter, and so Kirsten ends up taking it in, and then you never hear about it again. So it's like they had this cat, and it's part of the original collection. You hear about it in the birthday book, and you never hear it again. Okay, then we have Kirsten Saves the Day. So this is her summer story. So she's 10 now. She's out with her brother berry picking. They have to get rescued from a bear. I think they get in trouble because they're not supposed to be going places. And then they find a beehive. Now this is important because honey is important because it can bring them money because they don't have a lot of money. They're a poor immigrant family. So, and then I think the dog gets stung. They nearly get attacked, but eventually they're able to bring her father. She actually tries to do it herself because she feels like her family is ashamed of her for something. I can't remember what. Again, it's been a while since I've read these. So she finds the bee tree. And then she tries to do it herself. She tries to do it with her brother Peter. They get in trouble, but eventually they lead her father and her brother and her older brother Lars to the bees, and they're able to get the wax and the honey from this beehive. So, and then they're able to sell it in town. She's able to get a hat, which I believe is in the back. So, and yeah, because she doesn't have a summer hat. All she's had is her cap, like the ones you kind of see her mother wearing. So, and it's very, very hot. So that is what she gets. So, and then you have the last story. So this is Changes for Kirsten. This is a winter story. In this one, she's doing a lot of trapping with her brother and then one of their friends. Their father and their uncle are off at a logging camp trying to earn more money. So what ends up happening in this story is near the end when her and her brother are out trapping, they find one of the old trappers had died. And he has a whole bunch of furs. Now, their father's trying to earn money for them to buy a house. I can't remember whether it's in the Saves the Kirsten or Kirsten Learns a Lesson. She brings home a raccoon and it burns down their cabin. So don't bring home raccoons. They're wild animals. And it's illegal. So you do not want a raccoon. They are very, very nasty creatures. And again, wild animals. But nonetheless, they're able to get these furs, and the friend his family is selling their home because they're heading west to Oregon. So they're going to be selling their home. So Kirsten, and the father of this family is also off the logging camp. So he's been offered a job as a manager of a logging camp in Ohio. Or not Ohio, Oregon. So they're able to get the money and buy this 2-story house. I think it has glass windows and everything. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, see, there's kind of a picture of the house near the end because there's her baby sister and Peter, and there's the trunk. And then, but yeah, they have a stove and everything. They have windows. There's a note from her friend with this, from Mary. That's the name of her friend. So, and then her father comes home at the end. So that is the end of Kirsten's 6 books. She does have, I will be covering her cookbook, her craft book. She has a world book. She has 1 mystery, and she has some short stories. So and then I'll be covering a few other films that are related to immigration or traveling west. So that's what we're going to be covering with Miss Kirsten. So if you do like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. I will be working on Kirsten as we go through. And then we will be moving on to Addie, which is the American Civil War and slavery. And then we will jump to Samantha all the way into 1905. So thank you, and I will see you next time.